I had the chance to speak with Chelsea Bow, who is the director of the narrative feature film No Right Way. It will screen at this year's Kansas City Film Fest on Saturday, April 13th at 4 p.m. A Q&A with the director will follow the screening immediately after. You can get tickets right now at kcfilmfest.org. Just to kickstart it, just in your own words, tell us what No Right Way is all about.
Yes, so No Right Way is a sister story about it starts with a 13-year-old girl who's taken away from her mom by
Mm.
Child Protective Services and her older half sister, Harper. They share a dad, not a mom. So older half sister Harper steps in to take care of her while they're trying to figure stuff out with CPS. And in the midst of trying to pave a brighter future for her younger sister, the older sister kind of makes things worse by trying to like over control the situation. So it's a story about supporting someone in the way that they need, not the way you think is right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And there's no right way to do that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm curious. Just talk a little bit. What were some of your inspirations in making this film? You were the writer, director, actor, I believe editor too, right?
Correct.
Hmm.
Yes. So, the story is inspired by experiences that my half sister Alana and I shared.
Hmm.
The movie was definitely um, movified. So there's a lot of things, that aren't totally accurate, but there's a lot of pieces in there that are inspired by the experience we shared. And yeah, I had written a couple features prior to this one, and I felt like for my first film, I had to do something a little more personal. And after this weekend that my sister and I share, that was quite wild. A few years later, I asked her, "Hey, would you be down to like kind of tell the story together?" And she was excited about it. So I started working on the script, and that's kind of the impetus of No Right Way.
Gotcha. So, has your half sister, has she seen the final product? What were her
Oh
thoughts?
yeah,
Hmm.
she was a part of the project the whole way through from the
Hmm.
script phase. She was on set every single day. She has an associate producer credit, so
Hmm.
she definitely was involved on the entire process. Yeah.
That's really neat. So, I got that personal experience, personal connection. One of the really interesting things that I found, with reading about your background is your background working with improv acting. And I wanted to know for you as an actor and as a creative, how has improv influenced your artistry?
Yeah, so I started doing improv when I was 13 years old at Second
Mm.
City in
Oh,
LA. And
early.
then yeah. So I've been doing improv for a long, long time. Actually, I think my first foray into improv was at like a theater camp, and I
Mm.
was even younger. And the theater camp improv coach was like kind of pulled my parents aside and was like, "Your daughter's really good at this. Like, you should get her into more improv classes." And I loved it. So that's kind of like, something I started learning and practicing. And then, I started an improv club in high school and competed. And then when I was in college, I went all the way through the groundlings into the writing lab. So it was something that I really, really loved. And I loved I was very inspired by other films that incorporated improv elements into them. And I got really lucky um, that I got introduced by a mutual friend to Joshua Leonard, who I produced his film Fully Realized Humans, and that was a
Mm.
completely improvised film. And by producing that movie, I really got to learn how to pull off a fully improvised movie. I mean, like, yes, there's the script is the roadmap, and every scene has beats that, the actors need to hit, but all the dialogue is improvised. And so I'd already had this foundation of improv, and then magically got to produce an improvised film. And that kind of gave me the perfect foundation for making my own improvised movie, which I had always dreamed of doing for a long time. And I think what drew me to improvised movies was because I come from a theater background and an actor background. I think that I really just trust actors. And I wanted to give them the ability to really dig into their characters and like help kind of just flesh their characters out, and by doing so giving them their character's voice to kind of express themselves in the way their character would. It creates a lot more work in the edit. But I think what it does create is just a really like authentic and natural feeling film. It doesn't feel like lines, it feels like real life. And I just love that texture in the film.
And I definitely felt that realism with No Right Way with this film. How much of it was scripted versus improv?
Yeah, so all the dialogue is improvised.
Wow.
So the script is about a 40-page outline. And
Mm,
of course, there's certain things in the script that it's like, Harper says dare and Georgie says truth. Like that's already there's a truth or dare scene. So
mm,
obviously that's already there in the script. Those decisions are already made in the script
mm.
because that moves the story along. There's certain lines and stuff that like I had in the outline, but majority of it, the dialogue itself is improvised. Yeah.
So with that truth or dare scene, were you just kind of coming up with truths and dares as it went along, or how was that process?
No, that those specific things were in the outline.
Mm,
So, but the way that it comes out of our mouth, that's the
mm,
part that's improvised. So, you know, Georgie's dare to Harper, that was always there in the script.
mm,
But the way that like her line about what is this, a therapy picnic?
mm,
That was Ava. Um but in the script it says something along the lines of like um Harper's kind of prying for certain information and Georgie's resistant, and like
mm,
so that like the undertone of like the um what is it called? It's hilarious that I'm forgetting this as an actor, but this I want the subtext, that's the word I was looking
subtext.
for. The subtext is kind of in the script
Mhm.
itself, but then, the way it comes out is um I've, more free with the words to however it comes out.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
That makes sense.
that just fascinates me, and I'm sure as you're going along, were there things? Did it take you in a different direction with this being improvised? Where there's ever something where you're like, well, that wasn't what I expected, and how do you adapt to that?
No, never. That's the part. It's like why the script is there is because we have to stay, because of the shooting days and the story itself.
Mhm,
We have to stay on track with the story. So I don't give freedom. Like, yes, I guess in certain times there were times where the scene would kind of stray and we'd get off track from the purpose of the scene.
mhm,
And that was kind of the benefit of being the director and actor in the scene, is as me in character, I was able to reel certain conversations back into like what was the purpose of the scene.
mhm,
Or, when we cut, I'd have to be like, that's really fun. And I'm glad we explored that thing, but
mhm,
it's not going to make the cut. Like, next take, let's not go there. Let's keep it on track on these beats.
mhm,
But I think the benefit of sometimes those tangents that we would go on in certain conversations, you the audience will never see those. Those will lay on the editing room floor, but I think you can feel them because I think what it did was it helped further develop the characters and the relationships. So even though you may never see those conversations, you can feel just the history and the emotion behind the characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely, I felt that emotion with the film. A very impactful, very powerful film, and you
Thank
can
you.
tell it's certainly a very personal film. So what are you most excited for audiences to discover as more people see No Right Way?
We have to say we've been really blessed with a really fun festival run. And I think what I love every time walking out of the movie and hearing people react to it is just the various things that people resonate with, and it's
Mm,
different for everyone, and that's kind of really cool to see the all the different layers in which people resonate with these characters. A lot of people might connect with Georgie, a lot of people connect with Harper, or Amy or Tiffany, or everyone says, oh my gosh, I have a cousin like Tiffany, or I have, these characters, I think, just remind people of either themselves or someone they know.
mm,
And I've had teachers tell me, oh my gosh, this movie should be in schools. And I'm like,
mm,
what? Just because I mean, from their perspective, it was like, oh yeah, teachers should see this movie because they never know what's happening to to kids at home. And I think
mm.
it creates some compassion for like, kids who are trying to juggle school with whatever's happening in their home life. So, there's just so many layers to this film, outside of maybe like the sole purpose of why I made it. And I think that's been really fun to just share with audiences and hear like how it touches them on a personal level.
Yeah. So, I'm certainly excited for Kansas City audiences to see it at the festival. You'll be at the festival, so that's always one of the cool things about film festivals for me is getting to watch a film with the people who made it, hear that Q&A after, and I encourage everyone go out and see No Right Way when it comes to the KC Film Fest.
Yes, come see the movie. Woo!